Hello, I'm Colleen Gallagher, CEO at Onward and Upward, and you're listening to the Association Insights podcast, where each week we interview association leaders from across the country to hear how they're trying new things, taking big risks, and delivering value for their members. We'll explore the realities of what it means to work in and with associations and bring you the insights and inspiration you need to advance your career and make big changes at your association. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Association Insights podcast. I'm your host, Colleen Gallagher, and I'm really excited about today's conversation. Today's guest comes from outside of our usual association world, but she's a true marketing expert whose work, thinking, and approach translate incredibly well to the challenges that associations are navigating right now. She's someone I deeply respect and someone I know that our association pros can learn a lot from. I'm joined by Katy Doss, founder and CEO of Script Marketing. And Katy brings more than 20 years of marketing experience to the table, including over a decade running a successful agency. At Script, she focuses on the big picture, guiding vision, strategy, and growth with a clear focus on meaningful, measurable results for clients. Katy, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, one of the things I want to talk about is you work in a world where trust and first impressions are absolutely everything. And you can talk a little bit about your world, but one of the things I really want to know is what are the non-negotiables of a strong marketing foundation, and especially how you can do that without a massive budget.
Sure. So at Script, we focus on marketing for outdoor product and service businesses, primarily landscaping businesses, whether it's a design build or a maintenance company. So that's our niche, and that's kind of where we live. And I'll tell you the most important thing that I tell all of our clients is that you have to be in multiple places to get seen. So we always talk about the 10 to 15 touch point rule, right? It takes 10 to 15 touch points, 10 to 15 times for somebody to see your name or your message before they make the decision to buy from you or contact you or whatever it is. So if you're trying to get to 10 to 15 touch points and all you're doing is posting on Facebook, it takes a really long time to get there. So you want to have a multi-pronged approach to get to those. And that's what I preach all day, every day.
I love that. And thinking about what channels your people are on. And I do think in the association world, sometimes we say, oh no, we've hit them too much. They're so sick of our emails. They're so sick of this, but it does take that much to move them. So
it's very rare, especially in a world that's not retail. Like you can get burned out on retail emails. Like, how many J. Crew emails can I get? In a world that's not retail, it's very rare for people to get that fatigue with your marketing. And I've had clients say that to me before, and it's like, you are seeing everything you're doing. You are seeing every email, every social post, every ad. That doesn't mean that all the people you're trying to reach are seeing every single one of those. So you have to be out there. We all get sick of ourselves, right? But that doesn't mean that your potential clients or your audience is in the same boat. I mean, think about the number of messages that you get every day. I mean, I think I read somewhere, it's like you're inundated with like 50,000 marketing messages per day. What you're doing, even if you're doing it really well, you're on all the platforms, is just a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of that.
That's such a good way to think about it. I'd love to also talk about your kind of fundamentals mindset for 2026. And what do you think are 2 to 3 marketing basics that most organizations are skipping because they're distracted by chasing trends and doing the latest or whatever's new right now?
Yeah, so I actually just did a podcast about this. There are some basic fundamentals that are going to be true no matter what. Your brand is important. And I don't mean your logo. Your logo is part of your brand, but your brand is how people think about you, what people say about you, and how you're showing up. You need to really streamline your messaging. What is it that you are trying to get across to the people you're trying to reach? And of course, the whole features, benefits kind of thing. I mean, benefits tell, features sell. They say that emotion is the thing that really seals the deal. So You want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you have a strong brand and a strong message. Likewise, looks matter, whether you love it or not. You need a strong visual brand, strong logo, strong graphic design, that kind of thing. And that human connection, the human connection is so important. You can have the best messaging on earth, but people connect with people. That's why video is so important. Get somebody to get on camera, get on, be on the good side of the phone and post videos of you talking. It doesn't have to be perfect, but make that human connection. So you've got the fundamentals, the things that are always true. I will say that a non-negotiable for 2026 is GEO, generative engine optimization. So SEO, search engine optimization, has been a thing forever, making sure that your business, your organization is able to be found on Google, Bing, wherever. Now, not only do you need to be found on the search engines, you need to be found on all of these AI engines, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, all of them. And it's like everybody's panicking, like, how do we do it? It's the same thing. Making sure that you are putting helpful, accurate information out into the world on a regular basis. Through your blog, through your social, you need to make sure that any information you're putting out there is consistent. Your hours are consistent on your website, your Facebook profile, your Google business profile, all of that stuff. AI hates inconsistency. It doesn't understand if here it says your hours are 8 to 5 and over here it says they're 9 to 4. It can't process that. So outside of the fundamentals, I would say that GEO is really important for this year and moving forward.
Yeah, that's so good. I want to call out a couple things you said for our listeners to make sure they heard. So that human connection for the association world, that is just the essence of how we connect with our members and put your members out there. I had someone come on this podcast, I think my very first year, and say, no one tells a member story like a member. And that's it. And when you talk about video, I mean, that is just so spot on. But moving into the GEO piece, I think a lot of smaller staff associations might have some nerves about how do we even begin to address this. We're already doing 8 million things, but it isn't as hard as it seems. You just have to, like you said, be accurate, be honest, have content out there that resonates with folks. And one of the things that I find so interesting is with SEO, especially the early days of SEO, I feel like there was like a lot of tricks you could play to change, move the needle and up your game. But I feel like with the AI, the way they crawl, it truly is, do you feel like a human? Does this sound like a human? They're reading it the way a human would and processing that information. So if you want your information to get picked up by it, you have to be a human and connect with humans through the content you put out.
Exactly. You have to be a human. You have to be out there. That's where PR makes such a big difference. And your reviews. AI understands that reviews are generated by somebody other than you. And so it really does look at reviews. So, in your world where you have members, encourage those members to get on Google and leave you a review. A lot of people think, well, this isn't necessarily something where somebody would leave a review, but man, your members who are really involved, get them to leave you a Google review. That is the best thing that they can do for you to ensure that your business is showing up on search engines and AI engines.
Oh, I love that. That's a great tip. One thing I know you talk a lot about is customer engagement as a relationship building tool, not just selling with them by engaging. So if we try and translate that to associations, what does member engagement that actually builds loyalty look like in practice?
It's really all about creating value for your members, right? What we don't want to do is sell. You have to give a little bit to get. And you do that through educating those members. You make sure that, if you're in an association where you've got some laws happening, something's happening in Washington that affects your industry and Educate your members. This is what the lawmakers did, and this is what it means for your business, your organization. So you have to make sure you're educating. You have to make sure you're entertaining a little bit. Look, we're all human. We all like to laugh. Everything is so serious. There's so much going on in the world. Is there something you can do to just brighten the day of somebody who is engaging with your social media even? Add that into your marketing. It will pay dividends. It absolutely will.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that. And what a great way to think about it, because that does excite me when I see something that can make me smile or make me not feel like I'm down in the depths of everything going on in this world.
Yeah.
So that's really good advice there. Switching gears a little bit here. So you emphasize in some of your podcasts systems alongside strategy, and I love that concept. And thinking about our smaller marketing teams for some associations, what are some simple systems that these marketers can implement to reduce that chaos and just improve consistency?
Yeah, that's funny you did that because I think maybe this week we had a podcast about what happens when you're a marketing team of one. A lot of people are a marketing team of one. Look, I think the most important thing to know is like you're not going to be able to do absolutely everything when you're one person. So give yourself a little bit of grace. But the most important thing is measuring your results and then putting your time and energy into what is actually moving the needle. Look, if you are, let's say you're running meta ads. Let's say you're running meta ads and LinkedIn ads for your organization, and your LinkedIn ads are just killing it and people are engaging, and you're not getting anything from the meta ads. It's okay to drop something when it's not working. And especially when you're a team of one, it's better to do one thing really well than a bunch of things just kind of halfway. It's hard to stay up to date on everything that's new and fresh in marketing, right? Especially with AI engines. I mean, it's my full-time job and I can't do it. But having systems and batching what you do. It takes a lot longer to write one blog post and then do an ad strategy and then, do your social posts. Then if you're batching and on Monday, I'm going to write blog posts for the rest of the year. And on Tuesday, I'm going to work on graphics for all the posts. So batch like with like. That does make things much easier. And then again, just measure everything you're doing.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of the batching philosophy. I think it helps us get so much more done. And you think about how distracted we are when you get those reports from your phone about how many pickups a day or things like that. It's horrifying. So having that focus and that mindset, focusing on one thing, get this done, then move to the next, I think goes a long way on that front.
Absolutely. It's sort of like do as I say, not as I do. I don't know that I'm the best at it. But I'm trying to get better. And, if you are a marketing team of one, know where your strengths lie. If you are not using ChatGPT to write blog posts, you need to be doing that. You need to use the tools available to you, but also put that human touch on them. So nothing needs to come out of ChatGPT or any of these without the human touch. There are a lot of tools you can use to make things easier. Once you get into some of these ad platforms, Meta ads, Google ads especially, they're incredibly technical and they change all the time. I do tell people if you're going to offload something to an agency or a strategist or something like that, it should probably be paid digital ads. There's just a major learning curve there. So it can get really difficult.
Yeah. For sure. And echoing back something else you said is the using the data. And that goes with paid digital ads, but with anything you're doing, that's something I hear associations struggle with a lot is we've always done it this way, so we're going to keep doing it. But if the data tells you it's not working, just stop.
Yeah. What is it? You can't manage it if you don't measure it. If it's not doing anything, look at the time you're spending doing that and put that time towards something that is going to work.
Yeah. Well, and to the point of time. So a lot of association marketers have a ton of competing priorities. They've got the executives asking for this, the events team asking for this, the advocacy team wanting this, education team wanting this. So what's your recommendations for that managing expectations with prioritization, and how a marketer can push back so when everything feels urgent?
I like to prioritize things that people need who are paying me. But in general, it's really easy to get stuck in the weeds, right? Like you can't see the forest for the trees. You can have all the analogies you want. At the end of the day, make sure that you understand what are our main goals. What are we trying to do that's going to advance our cause, whatever that cause is? Once you look at it through that lens, it usually is easier to prioritize things. Everybody has a million things to do every day, but they say, if you can't tell, I'm Southern, I'm in the South. I've toned it down just a little bit for y'all. We say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So, it can get hard, but make sure you're keep the main thing. And that does make it easier to prioritize.
Yeah, I like that line of thinking. And I feel like for associations, it's like, how does this matter to members and what matters most for our members, and go from there. And that
Right.
helps you have that direction. So that's really helpful. One of the things you mentioned earlier was that importance of that branding and design, and that those are in essence credibility signals. Do you have any kind of common credibility leaks that you see, whether it's brand, web, email, social, that can undermine trust?
There are several. If you have a blog that you are not regularly updating, just make that so that your general user can't see it. That really looks bad. If your last blog post was updated in 2019, and along those same lines, search engines and AI engines do not like a blog that is not regularly updated. So that is something that can erode trust. Same thing with your social. You do not need to post every day. Once a week for your just regular organic social is plenty, but you need to make sure that something is going out weekly to keep that fresh. Organic social doesn't necessarily move the needle a ton, but what it does do is give you credibility when people start to research. So those things can really erode trust. And then a lot of the things that erode trust are things to do. Responding to emails timely. If a member emails you, let's reply to them.
I want to dive into channels, and there's the be everywhere that matters is a rule you have, I know, and for associations, they tend to want to be everywhere. We'll have clients that have no budget and are like, should we start a TikTok account and be on Threads? And I'm like, we still don't even have 300 followers on Twitter. I don't think we need to do this too. So when you're juggling all of these pieces and what channels to pursue, how do you decide what's worthy of investment?
Where are your ideal people spending time? So for associations, I'm going to assume that during the day they're spending some time on LinkedIn, and so LinkedIn ads are a good strategy for you, as well as just when you've got a blog post that you're posting on your website, post it on LinkedIn as well. I will say too, when it comes to LinkedIn, individuals, like content that an individual puts out, tends to get better traction than what a business or an organization puts out. So yes, if you're the National Association of Landscaping Professionals, let's say, the one that I'm familiar with, yes, on the NALP LinkedIn account, you want to post that blog post. But if you're a key person there, post it on your own account. Become kind of I hate the word influencer, but become, kind of a business influencer when it comes to what you are doing. Yes, you're going to have connections that don't have anything to do with your industry, but it shows that you know what you're doing. So where are your ideal clients or your ideal customers, whatever it is? Where are they spending time? Google is always, look, it just is what it is. You need to be on Google running ads. Ideally, you need to be running both search, display, and retargeting ads. But along those same lines, think through the content that you're putting out and how people are going to engage with it. That's where meta is going to come into play. If you're doing a lot of just really helpful stuff, if you're entertaining, when people are spending time after work scrolling Instagram, scrolling Facebook, whatever it is, you're going to reach them there. So, generally, what we do when we're working with a new client, very few organizations come to us and they're with a wheelbarrow of money ready to do everything all at once. So we try to prioritize based on that. For instance, our clients, direct mail works really well. Direct mail is a heavy lift as far as the spend, the printing, the postage, all that good stuff. So that's more of a phase 2 or a phase 3. Just because you're not starting with everything you can do doesn't mean you can't phase it in over time.
Yes. Yeah, that's huge. Well, and it's funny you mentioned print and direct mail working. And I feel like for a while that was association's bread and butter, and then most of them got completely away from it. But I'm hearing some going back to some print materials. And are you seeing success there as well? It sounds like your clients use direct mail very well.
Print's funny because if you had asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said, save your money. That's not the case anymore. And it's really funny because I just read a study. Gen Z thinks mail is neat because it's new to them and everything
I believe it.
is
That's so funny.
digital. In that same study, and I'll have to send you what it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but a digital campaign that also has a print component is 29% more likely to have the result that you're after, whether it's selling something or getting a member or whatever.
Wow.
I will say for our clients, we have better luck with larger print pieces. So we do more of like an 8.5 by 11, 4-page, we call them lookbooks. Not only do they stand out in the stack of mail, but people save them. And what we're finding is that in November, we measured QR code scans from pieces that went out in March. So
cool.
People are saving these pieces. You're playing the long game. But so many places have abandoned print that it's kind of having a resurgence. I'm old school. I love print. I love the smell of a fresh pack of printed postcards. If you've got the budget for the printing and the postage and you are able to work with somebody like I'm sure Colleen, to pull a really, really, really narrow list, or again, for associations, you probably have a list. I think print is very, very worth it.
Yeah. One association I think can use it in a couple ways. I mean, most of them have a flagship event. So maybe we do a mailer invitation. Maybe we do something a little bigger and a little heftier that goes to just committee members and involved board members. So you have that engaged member list. And that is the great thing. For associations, when they're on the engagement side, they do have the lists. When they're trying to reach new members, that might be different and they might not always have those lists, but it's definitely a great member engagement tactic, I would say, for sure.
Well, and I'll say this. So in early November 2025, I spoke at the National Association of Landscaping Professionals annual conference. So leading up to that conference, we didn't have the conference attendees, but we had the member list that we got as, since we were speaking. And we sent direct mail pieces. We sent larger postcards, so 11 by 6 postcards. We sent 4 of them out to promote the talk. It was a significant spend for us. They absolutely worked. I had people coming up to me after the session saying, "We got the postcard. We're here. It was totally worth it, blah, blah, blah."
That's so cool. I love that when you get that real feedback. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. One of the things that I've heard you say before is that you need to be able to say who you're not for as a positioning tool. And I feel like that's something associations could really use. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are in doing that in a way that doesn't sound exclusive in the wrong way.
Yeah, we talk about it. Saying who you're not for is almost more powerful than saying who you're for. the general example is not for people who think all coffee tastes the same. You know, if you're selling like some super exclusive dark roast, whatever, it gives this air of exclusivity. So, okay, you're thinking about an association. I'll tell you, just to use the landscaping association again, since that's the one that I know the best. You know, if they were trying to find new members, if they wanted to increase membership, the messaging is more like, not for those landscapers happy with the status quo, happy with last year's results. You know, so what it's saying is, hey, if you're a member, we're going to give you tools and information that's going to help your business grow. So that's what it's saying, but reversing it. And it's a really powerful way to do it. I mean, you can be a little too, like, not for, you don't want to be, you don't want to be ugly about it, but there's a way to flip it to sort of say what you're doing without, like, in a roundabout way.
Yeah. And frame it in a positive,
right.
So that anyone who you want to be in your audience would see that as, oh yeah, that's not me. I'm totally in. This is a group for me. So I think just thinking through how you word who you're not, so you don't alienate a whole bunch of members.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been super helpful. And I love all the different tidbits and advice. And I think in the association world, it can get overwhelming. So it's nice to step back to basics, to really think through, how do we focus on channels that matter? If you could give marketers, and especially our association listeners here, one piece of advice for 2026 to stop guessing and start learning from data, what would you tell them they should track, and how should they act on it?
Just one, huh?
I know, putting you on the spot here.
Whatever it is that you are spending the most time doing, if it's meta ads, look at your engagement rate. Look at your fatigue rate to make sure, people are not getting sick of your message. Whatever the key metric is, take a look at it and really determine what that means and how you can use that information to do your job better. I mean, there are a million different things you can do in marketing. You don't need to do all of them. You need to do a handful of them really well. So if you don't understand what the metrics mean, that's the first tip. Make sure that you really understand, what is engagement? What is a frequency score? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this has been awesome. But before we let you go, we'd like to wrap up all of our podcasts with some just for fun questions. And you're one of our first couple people to get to answer our new 2026 one. So
yay.
We'll start off here with, what's one small thing that brings you joy lately?
I got new progressive glasses.
I love it.
And so I'm not constantly taking them on and off. Does that count?
There we go. I like it. It's the little things.
The little things that make a big difference.
Too funny. Okay. What are you currently obsessed with, whether it's a book, show, hobby, or idea?
Okay. I never watched Mad Men when it first came around, but I'm rewatching it because it's on Prime now. So I'm in like season 5 and I'm completely obsessed with it. It's like, they say you're not supposed to watch shows that are about your industry. Like, doctors shouldn't watch Grey's Anatomy, but I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
That's so funny. Yeah, I watched that live, so I feel like I'm due a rewatch because it's been a lot of years. So that's so funny.
A lot of smoking.
Check it out. Yeah,
a lot of smoking.
I know. A different time.
Different time.
Okay. What's your ideal comfort food?
Pizza. I'm a pizza gal. I like a thick crust, not quite Chicago style, but I like a thick crust pizza with lots of toppings and ranch dressing to dip the crust in.
Love it. All right. Last one. What's a travel moment that still makes you smile when you think about it?
My husband and son and I went to Key West, Florida a couple years ago, and just it's a place that my husband and I have been a ton of times. We know the island really well. My son got to go for the first time, and just seeing it through his eyes, we did one of those sunset cruises and we kayaked through the mangroves and all that. That is just, it's a really cool trip. It's a really great place to go. And there's, people think it's just like drinking and partying, but it's really not. Like, it's a great family place too.
That's so awesome. I love it. Well, Katy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get to share some information with everybody.
That's a wrap for today's episode. The Association Insights Podcast, previously known as the Association 100 Podcast, is a production of Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications, where our mission is to make associations and nonprofits the go-to source in their industries through earned media and thought leadership. This podcast is an extension of our newsletter, a bi-monthly collection of best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies delivered straight to your inbox. Have you undertaken a big change at your association? Or do you have some words of wisdom from the trenches of association life? We want to hear from you, and so do our listeners. Drop us a note at info@onwardupward.com. That's info@onwardupward.com. Be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share with your friends and colleagues. We're available anywhere podcasts are found. Come back next week for more association insights and inspiration. Thanks for tuning in.